On today, October 22nd, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his counterpart, Russian President Vladimir Putin, met in Sochi, where they hammered out what seems to be the agreement that ends the first phase, or one of the major phases of the Syrian civil war. In an agreement that essentially recognizes the gains Turkey made in Operation Peace Spring, the cross-border invasion that forced the United States to withdraw. Turkey has agreed, as part of its disagreement with the Russians, to allow the Syrian regime back to places along the border that the Syrian Kurds had once occupied, except for this area where Turkey has invaded, in exchange for the Syrian regime and the Russians agreeing to disarm and remove weapons from the YPG, the Syrian Kurds, out to a distance of 30 kilometers. Then 10 kilometers in from that, the Turks and the Russians will begin to hold joint patrols. The main part and the main takeaway of this is that Ankara allowed for the inclusion in the final communique of a reference to the Adana Agreement. The Adana Agreement is an agreement between Turkey and Syria, signed in 1998, that essentially obligates the Syrian government to ensure that the PKK, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, cannot take safe haven in that country. The most important part about this is that Russia had been using this as a way for Turkey to begin to recognize again Bashar al-Assad as the guarantor of security in his country, and is the person through which Turkey should work to address its Kurdish issue. Now, Turkey has clearly worked through Russia to enable this, and is not quite ready to admit that it has recognized Bashar al-Assad. But I think that the writing is on the wall, that we are looking at some sort of timetable or some sort of mechanism with Russian mediation for Turkish regime talks, or at least Turkish regime recognition, that would end a certain phase of the civil war and begin more extensive and perhaps more focused political negotiations where Ankara recognizes Bashar.